the first match, we have a distinguished guest I'd like to introduce. Josh Baumgart is the Vermont, I want to make sure I say that right, professor of computer science at the University of Vermont. He runs the Morphology, Evolution, and Cognition Laboratory and is the director of UVM's supercomputer. His lab researches evolutionary robotics and the crowdsourcing of AI. He received a $500,000 research award from Barack Obama at a ceremony at the White House in 2011 and appeared in an episode of Morgan Freeman's science show Through the Wormhole. He is the author of the book How the Body Shapes the Way We Think and runs an online course called Robotics at reddit.com. Please give a warm first Tech Challenge welcome to Josh Baumgart.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Who's ready for a little Robo Winter Olympics today? Awesome. Okay, I don't want to stand between you and the bots for too long, so I just wanted to take a couple minutes this morning to think about where robots might take us all. So at the moment, where might robots take you? Right now, probably not very far. There are a few autonomous cars out there in Silicon Valley. There are not any autonomous cars here in Vermont yet, but they may be coming. So in the not too distant future, there may be robots on our roads taking lots of us lots of places, literally. But I want to think this morning about where they might take us metaphorically. You just heard Kristen introduce me in my bio. Can everybody hear me if I just speak without the microphone? No. Okay. There you go. I should know tech a little bit. There we go. That's a little better. Okay. Thank you very much, Dan. Okay, where might robots take us metaphorically? You just heard a little bit about my bio and where my interest in robotics has taken me, but I want to start with a friend of mine, Nick Cheney. Nick was a graduate of Essex High School right here 10 years ago. Nick came and studied robotics with me at UVM, and after UVM he went on to Cornell, and then from there on to NASA Ames at their research facility in Silicon Valley, and he worked with NASA engineers there to develop a prototype for the next generation of robot probes that NASA is planning to send to the outer moons of the solar system in a few years' time. After NASA Ames, Nick's interest in robotics took him to a professor position at the University of Wyoming, where he is at the moment, and he recently received a $1 million award from DARPA to help them develop the next generation of robots and AI. So that's where an interest in robotics took Nick from EHS to Wyoming. I was also interested in robotics when I was in high school. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and from there, an interest in robotics took me from Canada to England, to Switzerland, on to Japan, and then eventually back here in North America and the United States, where I've been working at the University of Vermont for the last 10 years, and I run a robotics lab there. So that's where an interest in robots has taken myself and where it's taken Nick. Where might an interest in robots take you? Well, that's a difficult thing to say because no one's really sure where robotics or any technology is going to go. But what we can be sure of is that this is an extremely exciting time to be interested in robotics, to be making robots. We're in the midst of the golden age of robotics. And in order to appreciate how quickly things are changing at the moment, think about what didn't exist 10 years ago. There were no drones 10 years ago. There were a few labs and a few industry research groups. We now have drones. 10 years ago, the Boston Dynamics company didn't exist. The autonomous robotics company that's now produced the Big Dog robot, the Atlas robot. You might have seen Boston Dynamics video from just this past week of two robots where one opens the door to the other one. The robots are definitely coming. And this is the time to find out how to make them and research them and go work for companies that are building them and to be a part of the revolution. Other things that didn't exist 10 years ago were 3D printed prosthetic arms and legs. Some of them can be printed for less than $200, which is pretty amazing. So things are changing. Where might robots take us in just the next few years? Again, hard to say. One place robots are definitely going to take us is into space. We now have a private company that has demonstrated that with privately funded and built rockets, we can launch heavy payloads into low Earth orbit. The fact that we can now reach space more cheaply means we can put more robots into orbit, and we can help to explore, the robots can help us explore and possibly colonize the solar system in the not too distant future. That's somewhere where robots may take us in, again, not the too distant future. They might also take us into the future. And what do I mean by that? Well, robotic technology and medical technology is starting to merge. I already mentioned 3D printed prosthetic arms and legs. We also now have brain-computer interfaces, circuitry that can interface directly with the nervous system and allow people who do not have control of their arms and legs to control machines just by thinking about them. It's an incredibly amazing technology that now already exists. There is in development micro and nano robots that you might swallow in a pill, and within the body they would find and repair damaged tissue. This was science fiction, again, not just a few years ago, but is now becoming a reality. So as robots and medicine start to merge, they may actually start to extend and improve human lifetimes beyond recognition. So that's where robots have been and where they might take us. I want to finish today by just issuing you 3 challenges. The first challenge is for our competitors today. As you're working on your robots and cheering your team on, I want you to do your best to remember as much of today as you can. And then in a year from today, February 24th, 2019, I want you to think back to a year ago to today. How much has changed in your life? How much has changed in terms of technology? Where might you be a year from now, and what might you be doing? My second challenge is I want you, in 10 years from today, February 24th, 2028, I want you to think back 10 years to today. How much has changed in your life? What have you built? What have you accomplished in 10 years? Third and final challenge, in 100 years from now, maybe 1,000 years from now, February 24th, 3018, if you or us are still here, I want you to think back to today. What will you be doing in 100 or 1,000 years' time? Where might you be? Thank you very much. Good luck today, everyone. And may the best part win.